Hello, thank you for joining us. We're super excited about today's episode. A few weeks ago, we finally had a chance to sit down with Roger Ritterbeck from Bureau Veritas and talk with him about the new standard and the changes and so forth. It was really interesting to get an auditor's perspective and find out, what they're going to be looking for with a lot of these individual changes. So it was a lengthy session that we had with him, and because of that, we're going to go ahead and break these up into segments and then air those individually. But we really enjoyed it. We got a lot out of it, and I think you will too. And so enjoy. Learn all about AS9100 Rev D with our new online course. This is the best resource to rapidly get you caught up on what's changed and what's new. Our course guides you through each part of the standard and teaches you how to implement it within your own organization. Each section is broken into bite-sized pieces, allowing you to work through the standard at your own pace. You can access the course as many times as you want, making this the #1 resource for when you need a quick refresh on a specific topic. Buy it today and get the guidance you need to achieve your Rev D certification.
Well, welcome. We've been looking forward to this day for quite some time, as if you've been with us during this series as we're discussing the changing standards and the requirements to be able to upgrade to Rev D. We've been looking forward to having Roger here. He's a good friend of mine, but he's also probably one of the leading experts on what it is we've been talking about. So thank you, Roger, for joining us, and
welcome.
Maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself for folks that don't know you.
Sure. Thanks, Russ. My name is Roger Ritterbeck. I'm the Aerospace Product Manager for Bureau Veritas certification in the Americas sector. My main responsibility is for deployment and execution of AS9100 certification audits for all our clients. I've been with Bureau Veritas a little over 5 years, and in the certification industry for about 20 years.
And we've had Roger manages all the auditors, and so we've had Roger auditing himself as well as his auditors auditing a number of our clients, and it's always been an interesting experience when Roger audits. He's quite an experienced and accomplished auditor. So I'm really anxious to hear some of the answers to some of the questions that we have and that you folks have sent in, as far as what is Rev D going to actually look like when what's an auditor going to look for? And so one of the first things is, Roger, would this be considered like a major revision of the standard, or is this like a minor tweaking?
Yes, Russ, this would be considered a major revision to the standard. The whole structure of the standard has been revised, and it's revised off of a document called Annex Structure Level, or Annex SL. And the Annex SL provides a baseline structure for all quality management system standards based on ISO, and it provides a structure for all revision changes going forward for years to come.
So this isn't the kind of an upgrade that they can start working on a week before the audit, I would presume.
No, that wouldn't be recommended. The recommended approach would be to take a project management approach to this, and do a full gap analysis of the new standard compared to your existing system, and address the gaps and on a timeline. Have a real project plan in place to address it.
And that's what we've been basically advising you all along. And I know many of you are looking out maybe even a year to having to do this audit, but I would not wait until 3 months before your scheduled audit to begin this. This is the kind of thing where you want to start right now. And some of this you're going to hear today and coming episodes should provide a lot of help for you. We've been asking folks to send us comments and questions they'd be interested in, and of course, we're aerospace auditors. We have some questions that we kind of interested in know what your answer would be. And one of the changes is the context of the organization, which was never in a standard before. And so we're kind of curious on how will your auditors look at that? What does context organization mean, and what might you look at or expect to see when you're doing an upgrade audit? Sure.
Well, that's a common question. So the context of the organization really expands on the existing requirement of just having a quality policy, and that kind of sets the direction for the companies. With the new requirement, the context of the organization really addresses the long-term vision of the organization, its cultural values, where it wants to be. As far as what an auditor is going to look for, an auditor is going to have an in-depth interview with top management, and they're going to ask to see such things as like a strategic business plan, a SWOT analysis, of the organization, risk assessments, just to get a real grasp on, has the organization set forth a plan to get where it wants to be in the future.
So like a SWOT analysis, can you tell us a little about what that might be?
Sure. Well, a SWOT analysis is, strengths, weakness, opportunity, and threats, and that can be applied at the organizational level all the way down to a process or activity level. So at an organizational level, the SWOT analysis would include whatever the strengths are of the organization, and then another quadrant would be those potential weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So that would all feed into the risk-based thinking that is a common theme in the new standard.
Yeah. I was going to ask if I did a SWOT analysis and identify weaknesses in my organization, I'm assuming you would expect to see that as an input to the risk that I would actually be addressing some of those weaknesses, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Any weaknesses or threats to the organization would need to be addressed through a risk management process.
Okay. Well, one of the things we've noticed is that the clause 4.4 was 4.1, now it's 4.4, has been enhanced, and particularly in the addition of clause F. So just for everyone's sake, we'll review that a little bit. It'll be on screen for you, but F says the risks and opportunities in accordance with the requirements of 6.1. 6.1 seems to point to a robust planning process. So you're not just identifying risk, but it's pointing to 6.1. So it's looking to some kind of a planning process to address that, correct?
Sure. Yeah. So planning has been heightened in the new version of AS9100. So as it would apply to a process, the new 6.1 requirement, an example would be, in a production process, if you have a goal for first pass yield, that's a common goal for a production line. The new requirement is the organization really needs to plan on how they're going to meet their objectives for first pass yield.
Okay, so what would be evidence of that planning that I've done? What would an auditor be looking for to see? I mean, I could say, okay, I planned it out, but I mean, there would be evidence you'd be?
Sure. At the process level, evidence could be a documented control plan for that process, or a process failure modes effect analysis. So that would point right to the potential risk that process has that would prevent it from meeting those objectives.
Okay.
So there it was, part one of our interview with Roger. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot more of that content to come over the coming weeks. We get into even more detail on some of the specific clauses of the standard, and always interesting to get the auditor's perspective. Of course, we are still going to be continuing on our regular video series where we break down the standard, but we're not quite sure what order we're going to do that yet. I don't know if we'll put all of the interview segments out first. I have a feeling what we'll probably do is sort of divide it up, be interviews in our regular series mixed together, but we would love to hear from you on what you would prefer to see too, if you have a preference one way or another. But no matter what, I hope you find all this content helpful and useful. If you want to contact us, you can do that on our website. You can do it through email. We'd love to hear from you. Get a hold of us any way you can, and we'll help you out. And in the meantime, have a great week.